If you will allow me, I want to share something with you today that has been weighing on my soul, something that I have witnessed in the lives of countless individuals who have come to me seeking understanding, seeking clarity in a world that often feels chaotic and unpredictable. I have spent decades in service to those who search, who question, who feel that there is something more beyond the veil of ordinary perception. And what I am about to share with you is not merely information. It is a revelation that may reorganize the way you see your entire existence. You are here because something within you recognizes that there are patterns at work in your life, patterns that seem too precise, too meaningful to be mere coincidence. Perhaps you have experienced moments where events aligned in ways that defied logical explanation. Perhaps you have felt the presence of something greater, guiding you, warning you, preparing you. If this resonates with you, then what I am about to reveal is specifically for you. This is not a message for the casual observer. This is for the soul who knows, deep down, that they are part of something ancient, something prophetic, something that was set in motion long before they took their first breath in this lifetime. In the next hour and a half, you will come to understand how prophecy works, not as some distant mystical concept reserved for religious texts and ancient seers, but as a living, breathing force that operates in your life right now, in this very moment. You will discover that the prophecies that have been fulfilled in your life are not accidents, not coincidences, but precise orchestrations of a consciousness far greater than the individual mind. And here is what may shake you to your core. The prophecy that was fulfilled is not just about what has already happened. It is about what is happening now and what is yet to come. Before we go deeper, I want to ask something of you. If what I share resonates with your soul, if you feel that this message is speaking directly to the questions you have been carrying, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. This is not content that you will find easily elsewhere. We speak here of things that others avoid, things that require courage to face, things that demand we look beyond the surface of our conditioned beliefs. And at the end of this journey together, I will ask you a question that only you can answer, a question that will reveal where you stand in relation to the prophecy that is unfolding in your own life. Share this message with someone who needs to hear it, someone who has been searching for answers, someone who feels the weight of destiny upon their shoulders. Let me begin by taking you back to a moment in my own journey, a moment that changed everything for me. I was sitting in a quiet room, much like you might be sitting now, and I felt a presence, not physical, not visible, but undeniable. It was as if the air itself became thick with meaning, with intention, and in that moment, I heard words that were not spoken with a human voice, but impressed upon my consciousness with such clarity that I could not deny them. The words were simple, yet profound. What you seek has already been written. The prophecy is not in the future, it is in the now. I did not fully understand those words at the time. Like many of you, I had been conditioned to think of prophecy as something that belonged to the past, to ancient civilizations, to biblical times. I thought of prophets as distant figures, removed from the ordinary struggles of daily life. But in that moment, I began to see that prophecy is not a relic of history. It is a living principle, an active force that shapes reality according to patterns that exist beyond time and space. You see, prophecy is not about predicting the future in the way we commonly understand it. It is not about fortune-telling or guessing what will happen next week or next year. True prophecy is about recognizing the patterns that already exist in the fabric of existence, patterns that are woven into the very structure of consciousness itself. These patterns are like seeds planted in the soil of eternity, and they sprout in our lives when the conditions are right, when we are ready to receive them, when our souls have reached a certain level of awareness. Think of it this way. Imagine that before you were born into this physical body, your soul made certain agreements, certain choices about the lessons you would learn, the challenges you would face, the gifts you would develop. These agreements were not made lightly. They were made with full awareness of the journey ahead, with full knowledge of the pain and the joy, the darkness and the light. And encoded within these agreements were prophecies, markers along the path that would signal to you that you are on the right track, that you are fulfilling your purpose, that you are aligned with the greater plan. Now, here is where it becomes deeply personal. Many of you listening to this have experienced moments in your life that felt prophetic, moments where you knew something before it happened, moments where you felt guided by an invisible hand. Perhaps you met someone and immediately felt that you had known them before, that your meeting was destined. Perhaps you found yourself in a situation that seemed impossible, yet doors opened in ways that defied logic. Perhaps you heard a voice in your mind, a whisper of guidance that led you away from danger or toward an opportunity that changed your life. These are not random occurrences. These are the prophecies being fulfilled in your life. They are the markers, the signposts that your soul placed along the path before you incarnated. And the reason you are here, listening to these words right now, is because you are at a point in your journey where you need to understand this truth. You need to know that you are not lost, that you are not wandering aimlessly, that there is a design, a purpose, a prophecy that is unfolding through you. But let me be clear about something, because this is where many people become confused or disillusioned. The fulfillment of prophecy does not mean that your life will be easy. It does not mean that you will avoid suffering or hardship. In fact, some of the most profound prophecies are fulfilled through our deepest struggles, through the moments when we feel most broken, most alone, most uncertain. This is because prophecy is not about comfort. It is about transformation. It is about the soul's evolution, the refinement of consciousness, the journey from ignorance to enlightenment. I have seen this pattern repeated countless times in the lives of those who have come to me for readings. A person will arrive in a state of crisis, feeling that their life has fallen apart, that they have lost their way. And yet, when we look deeper, When we examine the patterns and the symbols, we discover that what appeared to be a catastrophe was actually a prophecy being fulfilled. The loss of a job was not a failure. It was a redirection toward a truer path. The end of a relationship was not a rejection. It was a liberation from a pattern that no longer served the soul's growth. The illness was not a punishment. It was a wake-up call, a message from the body and the spirit that something needed to change. This is the paradox of prophecy. It often comes disguised as chaos, as disruption, as unwanted change. We resist it because we do not recognize it. We fight against it because we are attached to our plans, our expectations, our ideas of how life should unfold. But the prophecy does not care about our preferences. It cares only about the truth, about the alignment of the soul with its highest purpose. So how do we recognize when a prophecy is being fulfilled in our lives? How do we distinguish between random events and meaningful patterns? This is a question I have pondered deeply, and the answer I have come to is this: prophecy reveals itself through resonance. When a prophecy is being fulfilled, there is a quality of recognition, a feeling of, yes, this is it, even if the mind does not fully understand. There is a sense of rightness, of alignment, even in the midst of difficulty. Let me give you an example. Imagine that you have been feeling a deep restlessness, a sense that you are meant for something more than your current circumstances. You have been praying, meditating, asking for guidance, and then, seemingly out of nowhere, you lose your job. Your first reaction might be fear, panic, anger. But beneath those surface emotions, if you listen carefully, you might feel something else. A quiet relief, a subtle excitement, a whisper that says, finally, the door has opened. This is the prophecy being fulfilled. The loss of the job was not the problem, it was the solution. It was the universe responding to your prayer, clearing the way for something new, something more aligned with your soul's purpose. But you will only recognize this if you are willing to look beyond the immediate discomfort, beyond the fear of the unknown, and trust that there is a greater intelligence at work. Now, I want to take you deeper into the mechanics of how prophecy operates, because this is where the real power lies. Prophecy is not a one-way communication from some distant deity to passive humans. It is a co-creative process, a dance between the individual soul and the universal consciousness. The prophecies that are fulfilled in your life are not imposed upon you, they are activated by you through your choices, your intentions, your level of awareness. Think of it like this. The universe is a vast field of potential, containing infinite possibilities. Within this field, there are certain patterns, certain trajectories that are more aligned with your soul's purpose than others. These aligned patterns are the prophecies. They exist as potentials waiting to be activated. And they are activated when you make choices that resonate with your true nature, when you follow your intuition, when you say yes to the opportunities that feel right, even if they don't make logical sense. This is why two people can be given the same prophecy, the same potential, and yet have completely different outcomes. One person recognizes the opportunity and acts on it, while the other dismisses it as foolishness or fear. One person trusts the inner guidance and takes the leap, while the other clings to security and stays stuck. The prophecy was there for both, but only one fulfilled it. And here is something that may surprise you. Unfulfilled prophecies do not simply disappear. They wait. They circle back. They present themselves again and again in different forms, through different people, in different circumstances, until we finally recognize them and act. This is why you may notice certain patterns repeating in your life. The same type of relationship, the same type of challenge, the same type of opportunity. These are not punishments or bad luck. These are prophecies knocking on your door, asking to be fulfilled. I remember a woman who came to me many years ago, deeply troubled by a recurring dream. In the dream, she was standing at the edge of a vast ocean, and she could see an island in the distance. She felt an overwhelming desire to reach the island, but she was afraid of the water. Night after night, the dream returned, and each time she would wake up feeling frustrated and confused. When I looked into her situation, I saw that the dream was a prophecy, a message from her soul about a creative gift that she had been suppressing, a gift that required her to venture into unknown territory, to take risks, to trust herself in ways she had never done before. The ocean represented the unconscious, the realm of emotion and intuition. The island represented her true calling, the work she was meant to do in the world. And her fear of the water was her resistance to change, her attachment to the familiar, her doubt in her own abilities. I told her that the dream would continue until she took action, until she honored the prophecy by stepping into the unknown. And sure enough, when she finally began to pursue her creative work, when she allowed herself to be vulnerable and authentic, the dream stopped. The prophecy had been fulfilled. This brings me to a crucial point that I want you to understand. The fulfillment of prophecy requires courage. It requires a willingness to let go of who you think you are and embrace who you truly are. It requires faith in the unseen, trust in the process, and a deep commitment to your own evolution. This is not easy work. It is not for the faint of heart, but it is the most important work you will ever do, because it is the work of becoming whole, of aligning with your soul's purpose, of stepping into your destiny. Now, let us talk about the signs that a prophecy is being fulfilled in your life right now. The first sign is synchronicity, the experience of meaningful coincidences that seem too perfect to be random. You think of someone and they call you. You need information, and a book falls off the shelf with exactly what you need. You are struggling with a decision, and a stranger says something that provides the clarity you were seeking. These synchronicities are not accidents. They are confirmations that you are on the right path, that the prophecy is unfolding. The second sign is a sense of acceleration. Time seems to speed up. Events happen quickly, one after another, as if the universe is conspiring to move you forward. Opportunities appear, doors open, connections are made. This acceleration can feel overwhelming, even chaotic, but it is a sign that you are in the flow of the prophecy, that you are aligned with the current of your destiny. The third sign is resistance. This may seem contradictory, but it is true. When a prophecy is being fulfilled, you will often encounter obstacles, challenges, and opposition, both from external circumstances and from your own internal fears and doubts. This resistance is not a sign that you are on the wrong path. It is a sign that you are approaching a threshold, a point of transformation, and the old patterns are fighting to maintain control. The key is to recognize the resistance for what it is and move through it with courage and faith. The fourth sign is a feeling of coming home. Even in the midst of uncertainty and change, there is a deep sense of rightness, of alignment, of being exactly where you are meant to be. This feeling may not be constant, it may come and go, but when it is present, it is unmistakable. It is the soul's confirmation that the prophecy is being fulfilled. I want to share with you a story that illustrates these principles in a powerful way. There was a man who came to me many years ago, a man who had achieved great success in the business world. He had wealth, status, recognition, all the things that society tells us we should want. And yet, he was deeply unhappy. He felt empty, disconnected, as if he was living someone else's life. He came to me asking why he felt this way, why success had not brought him the fulfillment he expected. When I looked into his soul's journey, I saw that before he incarnated, he had made a very specific agreement. He had chosen to come into this life with certain gifts: intelligence, charisma, determination, and he had agreed to use these gifts in service to others, to help heal and uplift humanity. But somewhere along the way, he had forgotten this agreement. He had been seduced by the ego's desires for power and recognition, and he had built a life that was out of alignment with his soul's purpose. The emptiness he felt was not a problem. It was a prophecy being fulfilled. It was his soul's way of telling him that he was off course, that he needed to redirect his energy toward his true calling. The prophecy was not about success in the conventional sense. It was about service, about using his gifts to make a meaningful contribution to the world. And until he honored that prophecy, he would continue to feel the emptiness, the disconnection, the sense that something was missing. I told him that he had a choice. He could continue on his current path, accumulating more wealth and status, but the emptiness would only deepen. Or he could listen to the prophecy, make the necessary changes, and step into the life his soul was calling him to live. It was not an easy choice, because it required him to let go of much of what he had built, to face the judgment and confusion of others, to trust in something he could not see or prove. But he made the choice. He began to redirect his energy toward work that served others, work that aligned with his deeper values and gifts. And as he did, everything changed. The emptiness was replaced by a sense of purpose. The disconnection was replaced by a feeling of belonging. The prophecy was being fulfilled, and his life became a reflection of his soul's true nature. This is the power of prophecy when we honor it, when we have the courage to follow it, when we trust that there is a greater intelligence guiding us. But it requires us to let go of our attachment to how we think things should be and surrender to how they are meant to be. Now, I want to address something that may be troubling some of you. You may be thinking, if prophecy is real, if my life is guided by these patterns and agreements, then do I have free will? Am I just a puppet following a predetermined script? This is a profound question, and the answer is both yes and no. Yes, there are certain patterns, certain potentials, certain prophecies that are part of your soul's journey. These were chosen before you incarnated, and they represent the broad strokes of your life's purpose. But within those broad strokes, you have immense freedom. You have the freedom to choose how you respond to the prophecies, how quickly you recognize them, how courageously you act on them. You have the freedom to resist or to surrender, to fight or to flow, to delay or to accelerate. Think of it like a river. The river has a destination. It flows toward the ocean. This is the prophecy, the inevitable movement toward wholeness and unity. But within the river, there are countless currents, eddies, and tributaries. You can choose to swim with the current or against it. You can choose to explore the side channels or stay in the main flow. You can choose to rest in the calm pools or ride the rapids. The destination is set, but the journey is yours to create. This is the dance of prophecy and free will. They are not opposites. They are partners, working together to create the unique expression of your soul's journey. And the more you align with the prophecy, the more freedom you actually experience, because you are no longer fighting against your own nature, no longer resisting the flow of your destiny. Let me take you now into the realm of the sacred, into the understanding of how prophecy connects us to the divine. In many spiritual traditions, there is a teaching that we are not separate from God, from Source, from the universal consciousness. We are expressions of it, individualized points of awareness within the infinite field of being. And prophecy is one of the ways that the divine communicates with itself, through us. When a prophecy is fulfilled in your life, it is not just your personal story. It is the universe recognizing itself, awakening to its own nature through your experience. This is why prophecy often feels both deeply personal and utterly impersonal at the same time. It is your journey, and yet it is also the journey of all consciousness, the eternal movement from separation to unity, from ignorance to enlightenment, from fear to love. In the ancient mystery schools, initiates were taught to read the signs and symbols of their lives as a sacred text, a living scripture written by the hand of the divine. They understood that every event, every encounter, every challenge was a message, a teaching, a piece of the prophecy being revealed. They learned to see with the eyes of the soul, to listen with the ears of the spirit, to interpret the language of synchronicity and symbol. This is a skill that we have largely lost in the modern world. We have been taught to see life as random, as chaotic, as meaningless. We have been conditioned to trust only what can be measured and proven, to dismiss the subtle, the intuitive, the mystical. But the prophecy does not speak in the language of logic and reason. It speaks in the language of metaphor and meaning, of pattern and resonance, of feeling and knowing. To recognize the prophecy being fulfilled in your life, you must relearn this ancient language. You must become sensitive to the whispers of your intuition, the nudges of synchronicity, the messages hidden in your dreams and your emotions. You must learn to trust what you feel, even when you cannot explain it. You must cultivate a relationship with the unseen, with the mystery, with the intelligence that moves through all things. I have spent my life developing this sensitivity, this ability to read the deeper patterns and meanings, and what I have discovered is that the prophecy is always speaking, always revealing itself, always guiding us. But we must have the eyes to see and the ears to hear. We must be willing to look beyond the surface, beyond the obvious, beyond the comfortable explanations. Let me share with you a practice that can help you develop this sensitivity. Each night before you sleep, take a few moments to review your day. But do not review it in the ordinary way, simply recalling what you did and what happened. Instead, look for the patterns, the symbols, the synchronicities. Ask yourself, what was the universe trying to tell me today? What prophecy was being revealed? What message was I given? Perhaps you had a conversation that touched something deep within you. Perhaps you saw an image or heard a phrase that resonated in an unusual way. Perhaps you felt drawn to a certain place or person without knowing why. These are not random. They are clues, pieces of the prophecy, breadcrumbs on the path of your soul's journey. As you practice this review, you will begin to see patterns emerging. You will notice that certain themes repeat, certain symbols appear again and again, certain feelings arise in specific contexts. These patterns are the prophecy making itself known, revealing the deeper story of your life, the story that exists beneath the surface narrative of events and circumstances. And as you become more attuned to these patterns, you will find that you can begin to work with them consciously. You can ask for guidance and receive it. You can set intentions and watch them manifest. You can align yourself with the flow of the prophecy and experience a sense of ease and grace that was previously unknown to you. But I must warn you, this path is not without its challenges. As you awaken to the reality of prophecy, as you begin to see the deeper patterns at work in your life, you will also become more aware of the ways you have been out of alignment, the ways you have resisted your own destiny, the ways you have betrayed your soul's calling. This awareness can be painful. It can bring up feelings of regret, of grief, of shame. Do not run from these feelings. Do not try to suppress them or spiritualize them away. They are part of the prophecy too. They are the soul's way of clearing the old, making space for the new, releasing the patterns that no longer serve. Allow yourself to feel them fully, to honor them, to learn from them, and then let them go, knowing that every moment is a new opportunity to align with the prophecy, to step into your truth, to fulfill your purpose. I want to speak now about a particular aspect of prophecy that is often misunderstood, the prophecy of suffering. Many people believe that if they are on the right path, if they are aligned with their soul's purpose, then life should be easy, free from pain and struggle. But this is not how prophecy works. In fact, some of the most important prophecies are fulfilled through our suffering, through the dark nights of the soul, through the experiences that break us open and force us to transform. Suffering is not a sign that you have done something wrong or that you are being punished. Suffering is often a sign that you are being prepared, that you are being refined, that you are being initiated into a deeper level of consciousness.
The prophecy may require you to lose everything you thought you needed in order to discover what you truly are. It may require you to face your deepest fears in order to access your greatest strength. It may require you to walk through the valley of death in order to be reborn into a new life. I have seen this pattern in my own life and in the lives of countless others. The moments of greatest suffering were also the moments of greatest transformation, the moments when the prophecy was being fulfilled in the most profound way. The loss that seemed unbearable opened the door to a love that was unimaginable. The failure that felt like the end was actually the beginning of something far greater. The illness that threatened to destroy became the catalyst for healing on all levels: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. This is the alchemy of prophecy. It takes the lead of our suffering and transforms it into the gold of wisdom, compassion, and enlightenment. But we must be willing to go through the process, to trust that there is meaning in the pain, to believe that we are being held by a love that is greater than our understanding. There is another dimension to prophecy that I must share with you, one that relates to the collective consciousness, to the web of connection that binds all souls together. You see, your personal prophecy is not isolated. It is interwoven with the prophecies of others, creating a tapestry of meaning that extends far beyond your individual experience. When you fulfill your prophecy, you create ripples that touch the lives of countless others, often in ways you will never see or know. I have witnessed this phenomenon many times in my work. A person comes to me seeking guidance about their own path, their own struggles, their own questions. And as we explore their soul's journey, we discover that their challenges are not just personal. They are part of a larger pattern, a collective healing, a shared awakening. The pain they are experiencing is not theirs alone. It is the pain of their ancestors, their community, their culture, their species. And when they heal it within themselves, they heal it for all. This is the sacred power of individual transformation. When you do the work of aligning with your prophecy, when you face your shadows and embrace your light, when you step into your authentic power and purpose, you are not just changing your own life, you are changing the world. You are shifting the collective consciousness, raising the vibration, opening pathways for others to follow. Let me tell you about a young woman who came to me several years ago. She was struggling with a deep sense of unworthiness, a belief that she was fundamentally flawed, that she did not deserve love or happiness. This belief had been passed down through generations of women in her family, each one carrying the wound of rejection, of being told they were not enough, of being diminished and dismissed by the patriarchal structures of their time. When I looked into her soul's journey, I saw that she had incarnated specifically to break this pattern, to heal this ancestral wound, to liberate not just herself, but all the women in her lineage, past and future. This was her prophecy, to transform the legacy of unworthiness into a legacy of empowerment, to reclaim the feminine power that had been suppressed for so long. The work was not easy. It required her to confront the deepest layers of conditioning, to feel the full weight of the pain that had been carried by her mothers and grandmothers and great-grandmothers. It required her to stand in her truth, even when it meant disappointing others, even when it meant being misunderstood, even when it meant walking alone for a time. But she did the work. She honored the prophecy. And as she healed, I watched the effects ripple through her family, through her community, through the women who knew her and were inspired by her courage. This is the power of prophecy when we understand it in its fullest sense. It is not just about our individual destiny. It is about our collective evolution. It is about the healing of the wounds that have been passed down through generations, the breaking of the cycles that have kept us trapped, the awakening to the truth of who we really are. And here is something profound that I want you to understand. The prophecies that are being fulfilled in this time, in this era of human history, are unlike any that have come before. We are living in a time of unprecedented transformation, a time when the old paradigms are collapsing and new possibilities are emerging. The prophecies that are activating now are the prophecies of the great shift, the great awakening, the great remembering. You are part of this. Whether you know it or not, whether you feel ready or not, you are part of this massive wave of consciousness that is sweeping across the planet, calling humanity to evolve, to transcend, to become something more than we have ever been. And the personal prophecy that is unfolding in your life is connected to this larger movement. Your awakening is part of the collective awakening. Your healing is part of the collective healing. Your transformation is part of the collective transformation. This is why it is so important that you honor your prophecy, that you do not dismiss it or delay it or deny it. The world needs you to step into your truth. The world needs you to fulfill your purpose. The world needs you to become who you were born to be. Not in some distant future, but now. Not when you feel ready, but as you are. Not when circumstances are perfect, but in the midst of the chaos and the uncertainty and the challenge. Let me speak now about the role of faith in the fulfillment of prophecy. Faith is not about believing in something without evidence. It is about trusting in the intelligence of the universe, trusting in the wisdom of your soul, trusting that there is a benevolent force guiding your journey, even when you cannot see the path ahead. Faith is what allows you to take the next step when everything in you wants to retreat, when the logical mind is screaming that it is too risky, too uncertain,
too impossible. I have learned through my own experience that faith is not something we either have or do not have. It is something we cultivate, something we practice, something we strengthen through use. Every time you choose to trust your intuition over your fear, you are building faith. Every time you take action on an inner knowing, even when you cannot explain it, you are building faith. Every time you surrender to the flow of life instead of trying to control it, you are building faith. And faith is essential for the fulfillment of prophecy, because prophecy often requires us to move into the unknown, to step beyond the boundaries of what we know and what we can predict. It requires us to let go of the need for certainty, the need for guarantees, the need to see the entire path before we take the first step. It requires us to trust that the path will reveal itself as we walk it, that the resources will appear as we need them, that the guidance will come when we are ready to receive it. I remember a time in my own life when I was called to make a significant change, to leave behind a comfortable situation and venture into completely unknown territory. Everything in my rational mind told me it was foolish, that I should stay where I was, that I should not risk what I had built. But there was a deeper knowing, a voice within that was unmistakable, that said, "This is your path. This is your prophecy. You must go." I struggled with that decision for months. I made lists of pros and cons. I sought advice from others. I tried to find a logical reason to justify the move, but in the end it came down to faith. I had to trust that the voice I was hearing was real, that it was guiding me towards something important, that even though I could not see how it would work out, it would. And so I took the leap. What followed was one of the most challenging and one of the most rewarding periods of my life. There were times when I doubted, when I wondered if I had made a terrible mistake, when I felt lost and alone and uncertain. But there were also times when the synchronicities were so powerful, when the doors opened so perfectly, when the guidance was so clear, that I knew beyond any doubt that I was exactly where I was meant to be. The prophecy was being fulfilled, and I was learning to trust in ways I had never trusted before. This is what I want you to understand. The fulfillment of prophecy is not a passive process where you simply wait for things to happen to you. It is an active co-creation where you must participate, where you must choose, where you must act. And the primary action required is the action of faith, the willingness to trust, to surrender, to follow the guidance even when it does not make sense to the rational mind. Now, let me address a question that often arises when we talk about prophecy. What about the prophecies that seem negative, the predictions of disaster, the warnings of catastrophe? Are these real? Are they inevitable? Or can they be changed? This is a complex question, and the answer requires us to understand the nature of prophecy more deeply. Prophecy is not about a fixed future that is set in stone. It is about probabilities, about trajectories, about the likely outcomes based on current patterns and choices. A prophecy of disaster is a warning, a call to change course,
a message that says, if you continue on this path, this is where it will lead. But it is not a decree. It is not inevitable. This is true both for personal prophecies and for collective prophecies. If you receive a warning through a dream, through an intuition, through a reading, it is not to frighten you or to convince you that doom is unavoidable. It is to alert you, to give you the opportunity to make different choices, to shift your trajectory, to activate a different potential. The prophecy of disaster can be transformed into a prophecy of healing if we are willing to listen, to learn, to change. I have seen this happen countless times. A person receives a warning about their health, and instead of ignoring it, they make significant changes to their lifestyle, their diet, their stress levels. The illness that was predicted never manifests, or it manifests in a much milder form. The prophecy was not wrong. It was showing a potential future based on current patterns. But when the patterns changed, the future changed. The same is true on a collective level. The prophecies of environmental collapse, of social upheaval, of spiritual darkness, these are not fixed destinies. They are warnings, calls to action, invitations to choose differently. And every individual who awakens, who heals, who aligns with their soul's purpose is contributing to a shift in the collective trajectory, is helping to activate a different prophecy, a prophecy of hope, of renewal, of transformation. This is why your personal work matters so much. This is why your individual choices have cosmic significance. You are not just living your own life. You are participating in the creation of the future for yourself and for all of humanity. The prophecy you fulfill or fail to fulfill has implications that extend far beyond your personal experience. Let me share with you now some practical guidance for working with prophecy in your daily life. The first practice is to create space for silence, for stillness, for listening. The prophecy speaks in whispers, not in shouts. It comes in the quiet moments, in the spaces between thoughts, in the pauses between activities. If your life is constantly filled with noise, with distraction, with busyness, you will not be able to hear the guidance that is always available to you. Set aside time each day, even if it is just 10 or 15 minutes, to sit in silence, to breathe, to listen. Do not try to force anything. Do not try to make something happen. Simply be present, be open, be receptive, and notice what arises: a thought, a feeling, an image, a knowing. These are the ways the prophecy speaks to you. The second practice is to pay attention to your dreams. Dreams are one of the primary ways that the soul communicates with the conscious mind, one of the primary ways that prophecy reveals itself. Keep a journal by your bed and write down your dreams as soon as you wake up, before the rational mind has a chance to dismiss them or forget them. Look for patterns, for symbols, for recurring themes. These are messages, clues, pieces of the prophecy. The third practice is to follow your joy, your passion, your excitement. These are not frivolous emotions. They are guidance systems, pointing you toward your purpose, toward your path, toward the fulfillment of your prophecy.
When you feel genuinely excited about something, when you feel a deep sense of joy and aliveness, pay attention. This is your soul saying, yes, this is the direction, this is the way. The fourth practice is to trust the timing of your life. Prophecy unfolds according to divine timing, not according to our human schedules and expectations. There will be periods of rapid movement and periods of apparent stillness. There will be times when everything happens quickly and times when nothing seems to be happening at all. Trust that both are necessary, that both are part of the process, that the prophecy is unfolding perfectly even when it does not feel that way. The fifth practice is to surround yourself with people who support your awakening, who honor your journey, who reflect back to you your highest truth. The people you spend time with have a profound influence on your consciousness, on your choices, on your ability to fulfill your prophecy. Choose wisely. Seek out those who inspire you, who challenge you to grow, who believe in your potential even when you doubt yourself. And the sixth practice is to be willing to let go, to release, to surrender. The fulfillment of prophecy often requires us to let go of what we have been holding on to. Old identities, old relationships, old beliefs, old patterns. This can be painful, but it is necessary. You cannot step into the new while clinging to the old. You cannot fulfill your prophecy while remaining attached to who you used to be. I want to speak now about the relationship between prophecy and service. One of the most profound truths I have discovered is that our deepest fulfillment comes not from pursuing our own happiness or success, but from using our gifts in service to something greater than ourselves. The prophecies that bring the most meaning, the most satisfaction, the most joy, are the prophecies that involve contribution, that involve making a difference, that involve helping others. This does not mean you have to become a saint or a martyr. It does not mean you have to sacrifice your own needs or deny your own desires. It means that your personal fulfillment and your service to others are not separate. They are intertwined. They are complementary. They are two aspects of the same truth. When you are doing the work you were born to do, when you are expressing your authentic gifts, when you are aligned with your soul's purpose, you are naturally serving others. And in serving others, you are fulfilling yourself. I have never met anyone who found lasting happiness through purely selfish pursuits. The people who are most fulfilled, most at peace, most alive, are the people who have found a way to use their unique gifts to contribute to the well-being of others, to the healing of the world, to the evolution of consciousness. This is the prophecy that calls to all of us, the prophecy of sacred service, of meaningful contribution, of love in action. Think about the gifts you have been given, the talents you possess, the experiences you have had. These are not random. They are part of your preparation,
part of your equipment for the work you came here to do. The challenges you have overcome have given you wisdom and compassion. The skills you have developed have given you tools and abilities. The passions you feel have given you direction and motivation. All of this is part of the prophecy, preparing you for your unique contribution. And here is something beautiful. When you step into your service, when you begin to use your gifts in alignment with your soul's purpose, you will find that the universe supports you in ways you could never have imagined. Resources appear, opportunities arise, people show up to help, doors open. This is not magic. This is the natural flow of energy when you are aligned with your prophecy, when you are doing what you came here to do. I want to share one more story with you, a story that illustrates the power of prophecy when it is fully embraced and honored. There was a man who came to me many years ago, a man who had experienced tremendous trauma in his childhood. He had been abused, neglected, abandoned. He carried deep wounds, deep pain, deep anger, and for many years he allowed those wounds to define him, to limit him, to keep him trapped in patterns of self-destruction and suffering. When I looked into his soul's journey, I saw that he had chosen to experience this trauma not as a punishment, but as a catalyst, as a doorway to profound healing and transformation. I saw that his prophecy was to become a healer himself, to use his own experience of pain to help others who were suffering, to transform his wounds into wisdom, his suffering into service. At first, he resisted this idea. He could not imagine that his pain had any purpose, that it could lead to anything good. But slowly, over time, as he began to do the inner work, as he began to heal the wounds and release the anger, he started to see the truth of what I had shown him. He started to see that his experience had given him a depth of compassion, a level of understanding, an ability to connect with others in their pain that was rare and precious. He began to train as a counselor, working specifically with people who had experienced trauma similar to his own, and he discovered that he had a gift, a natural ability to create safety, to hold space, to guide others through their healing journey. The prophecy was being fulfilled, and his life was transformed from a story of victimhood into a story of empowerment, from a narrative of suffering into a narrative of service. This is the ultimate alchemy of prophecy, the transformation of our deepest pain into our greatest gift, the conversion of our wounds into our wisdom, the evolution of our suffering into our service. This is available to all of us, no matter what we have experienced, no matter how broken we may feel, no matter how lost we may be. The prophecy is always there, waiting to be recognized, waiting to be honored, waiting to be fulfilled. Now, as we move toward the completion of our time together, I want to bring this teaching back to you, to your life, to the prophecy that is being fulfilled in you right now. I want you to take a moment and reflect on your own journey. Think about the events of your life, the patterns that have emerged, the challenges you have faced, the gifts you have received. Can you see the prophecy at work?
Can you recognize the hand of the divine guiding you, shaping you, preparing you for something greater? Can you feel the truth of what I am saying resonating in your soul, confirming what you have always known, but perhaps never had words for?
The prophecy that was fulfilled is not just about the past. It is about now. It is about this moment, this breath, this choice. You are standing at a threshold, a point of decision. The prophecy is calling you forward, asking you to step into a new level of awareness, a new level of commitment, a new level of trust. What will you do with this calling? Will you honor it or ignore it? Will you follow it or resist it? Will you have the courage to let go of who you have been and embrace who you are becoming? These are not easy questions, and I do not expect you to have all the answers right now. But I do ask that you sit with them, that you allow them to work on you, that you open yourself to the guidance that is always available when we are willing to listen. Before we close, I want to leave you with a final thought, a final piece of the prophecy that I believe is essential for this time we are living in. We are in a period of great transition, both individually and collectively. The old structures, the old beliefs, the old ways of being are crumbling, and something new is being born. This is not comfortable, it is not easy, but it is necessary. The prophecy that is being fulfilled on a global scale is the prophecy of awakening, the prophecy of humanity remembering its true nature, its divine origin, its interconnectedness with all life. And each of us has a role to play in this great awakening. Each of us carries a piece of the puzzle, a unique gift, a specific contribution that only we can make. Your personal prophecy is connected to this larger prophecy. What you are being called to do, to be, to express, is not just for your own benefit, it is for the benefit of all. When you fulfill your prophecy, when you step into your purpose, when you align with your soul's calling, you are helping to birth the new world, the new consciousness, the new way of being human. This is the sacred responsibility that comes with awareness. Once you know, you cannot unknow. Once you see, you cannot unsee. Once you hear the call, you cannot pretend you did not hear it. The prophecy has been revealed to you, and now you must choose how you will respond. I have shared with you today the deepest truths that I have come to understand through decades of service, of listening, of witnessing the unfolding of the divine plan in countless lives. I have shown you that prophecy is not a distant concept, but a living reality operating in your life right now. I have revealed to you that the patterns you have experienced, the synchronicities you have noticed, the feelings you have felt are all part of a greater design, a sacred script written by your soul before you were born. The prophecy was fulfilled in the moments when you trusted your intuition and it led you to safety. It was fulfilled when you met the person who changed your life at exactly the right time. It was fulfilled when you lost what you thought you needed and discovered
what you truly are. It was fulfilled in the suffering that broke you open and the joy that filled the cracks with gold. And the prophecy continues to be fulfilled right now as you listen to these words, as you feel the stirring in your soul, as you recognize the truth that has always been within you. You are not here by accident. You are not listening to this by chance. This is part of your prophecy, part of your awakening, part of your journey home. So I ask you now, as we come to the end of our time together, what prophecy is being fulfilled in your life right now? What is your soul calling you to recognize, to honor, to act upon? Take a moment and listen. The answer is already within you, waiting to be heard. And I invite you to share your answer in the comments below. Tell me about the prophecy you are recognizing in your life. Tell me about the patterns you are seeing, the synchronicities you are experiencing, the calling you are feeling. Your story matters. Your journey matters. And by sharing it, you help others to recognize their own prophecy, their own path, their own purpose. If this message has touched you, if it has opened something within you, if it has given you clarity or confirmation or courage, then I ask you to share it with someone who needs to hear it. There are souls out there who are searching, who are questioning, who are ready to awaken to the reality of prophecy in their lives. You may be the messenger, the one who delivers this truth to them at exactly the right moment. That, too, is part of the prophecy. And finally, I want to leave you with a blessing, a prayer, an intention for your journey ahead. May you have the eyes to see the prophecy being fulfilled in your life. May you have the ears to hear the guidance that is always speaking. May you have the courage to follow the calling of your soul, even when the path is unclear, even when the cost is high, even when others do not understand. May you trust in the greater intelligence that is moving through you, that is shaping your life, that is leading you home. May you know in the deepest part of your being that you are loved, that you are guided, that you are never alone. May you recognize that every challenge is an opportunity, every loss is a liberation, every ending is a new beginning. May you embrace the prophecy that is yours to fulfill, and may you do so with grace, with faith, with an open heart. The prophecy was fulfilled. The prophecy is being fulfilled. The prophecy will continue to be fulfilled through you, as you, for the highest good of all. This is the truth. This is the way. This is the path of the awakened soul. Go now in peace, in power, in purpose. The prophecy is calling you. Will you answer? Remember, you are not walking this path alone. There are others who see what you see, who feel what you feel, who know what you know. We are a community of awakening souls, and together
We are fulfilling the greatest prophecy of all, the prophecy of humanity's return to wholeness, to love, to the divine consciousness that is our true nature. I thank you for your presence, for your attention, for your willingness to explore these deep truths with me. I honor the light within you, the wisdom within you, the prophecy within you. May it shine forth and illuminate the world. Until we meet again, in this form or another, in this time or another, in this dimension or another, I hold you in my heart and in my prayers. The prophecy was fulfilled, and so it is.